But there was a point where we were taking bets, and yeah, when we all found out, it was like, what?
Hi, Madison. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Congratulations. You are kind of on your way, if not already, a Scream Queen. You have done so much in this genre. What excites you about it more so maybe than some of the other genres?
I just think it's always been my favorite since I was a little girl. Like I've always loved scary movies. It's my favorite to watch. When I was younger, I was obsessed, and we used to make all of our own like terrible little short films, scary movie short films. So I think just from the beginning, I was like, I want to be a part of this genre. And it's my favorite to film too. It's always fun. I don't know why. It's just always fun on set.
And I love the concept of the whole having Madison play twins and just all these characters have so many layers. How much do you let them in on as far as the season goes? Do they sit down and get the whole season at once, or do you go kind of like you just do an episode and an episode at a time?
I gave all of the actors through episode 6 once they were cast. I had meetings with all of them, extensive meetings with all of them about their characters. The only thing I did not let them in on was who the killer was.
Yeah, we actually, we did. We were all trying to guess who the killer might be, and a lot of us were far off from the truth and who it could really be. But there was a point where we were taking bets, and yeah, when we all found out, it was like, what?
God, I was so just inundated with the story and filming that I could barely even try to think that far ahead. But I was kind of just waiting. I was along for the ride, so I wasn't trying to figure it out too emphatically, but I definitely had little ideas going.
How much did you know going into your audition about what the show would be like? And because you do play twins on the show, which, you know, some actors do, but it's usually like comical. Here it's very much like, I don't know, very nuanced. You're similar but different, but it's kind of hard to tell you apart. How do you switch back and forth between these characters and between scenes and takes?
You know, it was an interesting thing because more than anything, we wanted these twins to feel completely different. But at the same time, they're, like you said, they're sisters and they have similarities. And I think the trap to fall into is making them your stereotypical complete opposites, you know, and that's an easy world to fall into. And I didn't want to do that. And then also, there's other reasons to make them similar, which I can't go into at the time, which people see later. And I mean, it was definitely complicated. And also the fact that we had grad night to really, that's the first time you meet them, versus like having a whole history of getting to know them as sisters and to know their differences and to see their personalities physically through their clothes. And all of those things somewhat help in the end. But when you're not given that, you're given a very small amount of time. But it was a fun challenge. I really enjoyed it. We had a great team behind who made it super easy.
And this show is so good that there's so many things that I wish that I could obviously talk to you about, but we can't because it just gives so much away. So if you could just pick an episode number that you think has a twist, a reveal, or a moment that will blow viewers' minds the most, what episode should they be looking out for?
I mean, there are so many, but 8.
Okay.
8. I will say that.
5 or 6, I would say.
Okay.
My favorite, hands down.
6 through 8, it's hard to pick one of those. It's a wild ride toward the end.
And what are you most excited for people to see with each of your characters as they progress throughout the season without giving too much away?
I'm excited for them to just see Riley let her guard down a little bit, because she's always so tough and, you know, tough girl. And there will be moments where you can just see her become very vulnerable and open up a little bit.
And I'll say I'm excited for people to see just how far Dylan will go to do what he thinks is right.
And I know anytime that something gets redone, everybody wants to know, are there like any little things that they should look out for, any references to the original, any kind of Easter eggs?
There are Easter eggs, yes, there are Easter eggs. The Croaker crown will show up.
And this is a reboot or a remake sort of I know what you did last summer. It's a beloved classic. You've done a few reboots, and I'm curious if in 20 years, something else that you have currently done gets rebooted, what would you like to see how it gets changed the most?
The most fun would be Jumanji. And it just also created, and it just, people loved it so much that I do think, and it's such an interesting world, and in a weird way though, that was already a reboot of the other one, so
we've had like 4 Stars Born, so like it could happen.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I think that would be a fun one.
And one of my favorite things about the horror genre is the memorable death scenes, because you can have a scary movie, but there's certain things that stick with you. I know all the Final Destination movies, it's kind of like, oh wow, like that sticks with you. And you have a lot of creative ones in this show that I don't want to give away, but how do you develop coming up with something that's going to stand out, but also kind of be realistic, but be memorable?
That's an interesting question. Luckily, I like violence as an exclamation point. And so I always think story first, character first, but how are we going to push past where you think we're going to stop? So if a scene should stop at, I'm trying to think about how to talk to this about this without giving spoilers. But if a scene should stop at when you see the point of impact or you see a point of death, I think if you just go past that, it opens up a world of it takes the horror to just a little bit of a different place.
You need to tell the truth.
What if I don't know the truth? There is no redemption in this life. God, it's brutal out here.